SprintCarUnlimited.com coming to you from Port Royal Speedway. Season opener. We're here with winner Danny Dietrich. I'm on a stool because I'm short. Danny, you got out of the car and you said you feel like a race car driver. Why is that?
Well, we had some stuff that was just plain screwed up on a race car the last couple of weeks. Now, don't lower the camera. The point is to keep the camera up. Anyway, so, no, I shouldn't say we. I had some stuff screwed up on a race car and just had to figure out what was wrong, really. We were terrible at Lincoln last week, and that was kind of like just telltale sign, you know, like otherwise we'd have been second and fifth if it would have been for a flip. So, honestly, just being bad at Lincoln last week, I think is going to benefit us overall. I'm just, and we haven't been good here at Port Royal. I think everybody knows that. Ever since we won the Weicker, we've been bad. I feel like, and last year, this would have been last year with the rough spots on the racetrack, we'd have been trying to yard sale this thing. So, got everything balanced back out, I think, the right way, and man, it feels good. It just feels good to be able to drive a race car again.
Yeah, last couple weeks haven't been really good. And I've heard you pretty much sucked at BAPS, which is odd.
Yeah, I mean, BAPS has been wet, really wet lately, and going back to last September, maybe even August, it's been wet, and the racing just, I don't know, even most of the drivers, I mean, pretty much all the drivers complain about it being wet. So it's definitely wet. At BAPS is not in our wheelhouse. Our stuff's dialed in on the slick where you can start 9th or 8th and win, you know. So, we got to go back to the drawing board a little bit and get a little bit better early in the night when it's when you can't miss the slime, as Jake says. If there's slime on the racetrack, we find it. But, we time trial, and sometimes it's just slimy all over. And, we're not good when it's like that at all. So we got to get a little bit better there, but hopefully the track gets a little bit better. So, here, same deal. We had to get better when the track was a little rougher like this, and I feel like we definitely did. We got our car very balanced now that I feel like it could be slick or wet and rough because we had both of it today, and it'd be pretty good.
Obviously, day surface started on the pole. That helps.
Yeah.
But car looked like it worked, up top.
Yeah, I mean,
it was tricky up there.
Yeah, I mean, we started 6th in the heat and got to 2nd pretty much right away, and kind of rode around until we started to catch lap traffic, and then I kind of went just to see how good we'd be in some traffic, and felt pretty good there the last lap and a half of the heat, and in the A when we caught traffic was pretty confident in my race car. Just it's very hard when you got somebody chase behind you that if you dip, he's going to dive, and if you dive, he's going to dip, and the last lap I didn't really want to slide to 69K, but I didn't want to leave the door wide open, and I figured if they get a run back underneath of me, like it seemed like there was some rubber underneath the rougher stuff there on exit, and I figured if I slide him and it gets back underneath me, then whoever it is has to pass 2 cars, and that's going to be pretty tough. So felt pretty good in traffic. Tried to be patiently aggressive if that's a thing. So I felt like we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he never got closer than 7/10 under green. Car was dialed in. It's got to feel good to, keep it. He's been really good. Keep him behind you, and shows how the progress you've made over the last week.
I mean, just in 1 week, we just Jake and I spent a lot of time texting back and forth compared to normal on what we need to do and balance ourselves out. And man, it sure did help because it just felt good to feel like a sprint car driver again.
All right, congratulations on the win. See you at the Grove tomorrow.
Thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com here at Williams Grove Speedway. Season opener at the Grove. We're here with winner Lance DeWeese. Third one, I believe. Third time you won the opener.
I don't know. You know that shit more than me.
Obviously, tough track conditions and just went right in your wheelhouse. And
yeah, I mean, we had a good draw all day, and you have to take advantage of it when you get them, and we were fortunate enough to take advantage of it. They watered at top for the feature, start of the feature, and those guys in front of me were running up there, but I knew sooner or later the bottom was going to come right in, and I did not want to be up there and get passed by the bottom. So we just kept being patient, and you know, fortunately got by Dylan when he about spun out up top, and you know, just from that point on, I was just in conserve mode.
Yeah, once you got the lead, I guess he got high and just he almost wiped out.
Yeah.
And you went by, opened up a big lead, but he was able to kind of close in a little bit. Did you have a problem with the car? I know you said something about a shock.
Well, at the end there was a shock broke off it, and I don't know when that happened because it got really weird feeling right at the end, and I thought maybe I had my tire totally gone, and I slowed way up. But I think it probably was the shock that did it then. But you know, up to that, I probably could run 2 to 3 tenths faster if I really had to, but I did not want to get to the lap cars. I wanted to stay far away, you know, and try to not have to move my line and be the guy that, on a rubber down racetrack, you're the guy leading. If you move your line, normally you're getting beat.
Yeah, and it looked like you were, I guess, letting off a little early so you could drive straight through the corner where other guys were trying to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be straight as possible. Don't slide the tire. Don't eat the tire up. So I'm just trying to, you know, be as smooth as possible. And yeah, you go a lot faster than what I was going, but you have to keep the tires on the car for the whole race.
How much does experience come into play for a race like this compared to guys who are behind you who don't have that experience?
A lot. I mean, I know they ain't going to pass me. Yeah, unless I make a mistake, they're not going to just drive by me. So as long as I get off the corner good and get halfway down the straightaway, I'm good. So we were really backing our pace up a lot. There where I started getting on the same straightaway with those lap cars early, I really slowed up more yet because I was just going to pace myself behind them, and unless I heard a noise, but I never heard a noise any.
New team this year. What's this been like with Rich? I mean, he's an older guy. He's been around a long time. You seem to do well in these teams with older guys. What's this experience been like so far?
Oh, it's been great. He's been nothing but wonderful to work with. My buddy Jeff that's helped me, he reminds us of Water Dyer. Yeah, he's just very easygoing, very laid back, loves his racing, and we're just working hard and trying to get prepared. Like I said, this is the third different car this year already. This is the first new one of the cars I've wanted built, and so we're just keep plugging away. And you know, it's just not easy to hop in a different combination with motors and everything, and all the motors feel a little different. So we're going through all of it to see what needs help, don't need the help, and we need to get some normal racetracks to do that.
Couple tough weekends out of the gate with brakes. Is that just kind of weeding through what you got? And
yeah, it was one of those deals. Normally I don't have no issues, but we had an issue and we couldn't figure it out, and even the brake company really couldn't help us any. It was a weird deal, but we figured it out then, and well, we replaced everything and fixed it. Then we kind of figured out what it was and made all the other cars the same way. But yeah, it's just one of those deals. It's just part of the learning curve of new stuff. I mean, it's not from lack. It was all new. It was, you know, it's just one of those oddball deals, and we had two times doing it. We thought we fixed it, and we did.
4th and 2nd this weekend. Not bad. It's a good rebound.
Yeah, so we actually been pretty good. I mean, we drove up through it Lincoln the other week and ran 6th from 17th, I think it was, or something like that. I was good the other week at Lincoln when I lost my brakes. So we're not bad. We need to get more speed in the car, but we're gaining on this weekend. I thought we had a little bit more speed. On the clock, we had more speed. So we're gaining on it.
You know, we're running about 35, 40 races. This owner wants to race more. Did you ever think you'd be back to running a bigger schedule like you will this year?
No, the bad part about it is when we met first, we met for about 4 hours at his place, and I refused to. We weren't going to run no weekly every week and all that stuff. Well, then they started announcing the series, and they announced this other stuff. And I mean, even not running every week, it's close to 80 races if I want to. But it looks like we're probably going to try to run every week. Maybe not every race every weekend. Like, I don't know if we'll run all 3 next weekend or not. You know, we might skip BAPS. A lot of it's he's gung ho right now on go racing. So
winning today didn't hurt.
No, that don't hurt. So, but the guys all work jobs. They all do other things. So we're not going to wear them out before we get in the heart of the year. I can tell you that much.
Well, where are you out?
Yeah, so we're just. It's like I told him. We'll take it race by race, weekend by weekend. And if I feel like I need to get a break somehow, we'll figure it out. We'll go from there. You know what I mean? But as long as we get some normal racetracks and not beat myself up so bad, like. Last night's a pretty rough racetrack, so it beats you up some. Even Whittle was complaining about it a little bit with him. So, but we'll just take it one race at a time like we always do. But we're probably going to race a lot.
Well, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Have fun in your hockey game.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. Thank you to everybody who's already joined us and who will join us as the night goes on. We're going to do our best to, we're going to spend the next hour and a half with you at least till 9 o'clock. Then the FS1 show comes on. We might duck out then. We'll see what the traffic's like. But let's get to the chat and kick things off. Jeremy, I'm a West Coast guy. Who are the PA Posse members? How do they become a PA Posse member? I know there are several drivers or cars out of PA but are not Posse. Mark, Spook, Shark are all PA but not Posse. You have to run here regular. That's usually how it becomes. Marks has been Posse, and they still kind of claim him because he's run here regular in the past. It comes down to, are you a regular in PA? I think if you ask some Pennsylvania fans, they would probably claim Schuhart as a Pennsylvania outlaw or something to that nature. Book, that car's out of Lancaster. That they've never really been considered Posse because they've run All-Stars or, now High Limit. So mainly it's you have to run here on a regular basis. Glad to see Zach Hampton got a ride with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. I think if he can clean up some DNFs, he might have a shot at the title and a couple of wins. Maybe a win or two. The title, I think Caleb Henry, Cale Thomas, I think they're the front runners. I think Zach's got some work to do to get past them. We'll see. The Sealing car, the Joe Sealing Motorsports, I don't know if they've run a whole season with a series. Granted, it's 30, it's somewhere in the mid 30s as far as races, but we'll see if they have enough equipment, if everything's in place. I do think Zach Hampton can win a race or two. Contending for the title, I think it's, again, Caleb Henry and Cale Thomas, I think, are the front runners. Bob on line one. Bob, how are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. I wanted to start the show off by apologizing for the way my Hawks beat up your Gators the other night.
That's okay. It's, it happens. I didn't think they were going to go that far anyway. I thought they were a fraudulent number 1 seed, and they weren't as good this year. Plain and simple.
I was curious. I know Gravel's great. He's the best driver out there.
Yes.
Do you think we're entering another Kinzer Schatz era where guy just dominates for a few years?
Boy, that's a tall order because, Schatz is a 10-time champion. I don't think so. And I do think there's going to come a point where Buddy Kofoid gets a title. I don't think, maybe a Brad Sweet type thing, but I think Buddy's going to win a title, and a lot can change year to year, especially with 2 national series. I'm not saying David Gravel's going to leave, but I do think there are other choices now. And I think teams swap around more than, say, in the past. I mean, Steve Kinzer, he's going to be in the 11. He's going to work with Carl Kinzer until he tried the NASCAR deal. And then Mark, went with his dad. Schatz was in his own car, then TSR. So I think there are a lot of variables that have to fall in place for that to happen. So I think it's going to be really difficult to say he's going to hit that level. If they can stay together, then sure, I think you can rattle a bunch of them off. But again, I think Buddy Kofoid's going to win it in 2027. I've said that, and I'm going to stick by it.
I think my problem with him is he's got me watching more high limit races because I ain't sure who's going to win that. And when he's there, I kind of think he's probably going to win.
Well, I mean, the problem is with that. Last year, I mean, Buddy had double-digit wins. Carson Macedo had double-digit wins. They have 3 guys on that tour who are getting double-digit wins. I don't think David. It's not like David's getting 20 and everybody's getting 10. So I would say that there's still, I think there are a lot of interesting storylines with both series right now. I think with the Outlaws, obviously David's won the last 3 races, but it's not like he's going to win 10 straight. I mean, think about how it was when Steve Kinzer was racing or Donnie Schatz and they're winning 30. Nobody's going to do that. Okay. David Gravel's not going to win 30 races. I would be just blown away, surprised if that happened. So I think there's still reason to watch. I think you have Donnie Schatz's pseudo resurgence. I think Sheldon Haudenschild, his last, 6 races or so, his average finish is 4.5. He's 3rd in the points. I think Macedo's looked really good as well. I think there's a lot of reason to still watch the World of Outlaws.
You still think Macedo should have jumped?
Yeah.
The high limit?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll die on that hill. Yes, I think he should have jumped because I think he would be the front runner for the high limit title and a lot of money. I
agree. I don't know what it is, but he just don't quite look as good as Gravel and Kofoid.
I mean, he wins double digits almost every year. It's not that he's bad. It's just he has some weeks where, things don't go well, whether it's a mechanical problem or something else. Kofoid's had that this year. I mean, he's had 3 already. So I think, and that's one of the things David doesn't have or doesn't seem to have. And there's no reason to think he's going to have them now. So it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out, but Carson's very good and that team is very good. And right now Carson's better than Buddy as far as performance. He's 2nd in points. Buddy's 40 points behind him. So the numbers say otherwise.
Well, okay. Thanks for taking my call. Enjoy the show.
Thank you very much, Bob. Always appreciate it. All right. Let's get back to the chat. Hit the like button and support Sprint Car Unlimited. Yes, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. What do you know about Orange Crate leaving the 5W? I know there's some sponsorship issues, and that's why Lucas has not been out as of yet. Now, will that get rectified this week, next week, the following week? I know it's pending. So we'll see what happens. But as of now, I think Lucas was looking for a debut last week at Williams Grove and Port Royal. Didn't happen. So we'll see if that status changes in the near future. But yes, sponsorship issues are the reason. Is Lance Deweese the best PA driver ever? Huh. A tough question. Fred Raymer was really good. Best ever. I mean, you have some back in the day, you have Lynn Paxton, you have, Opperman was through this area. You have Mitch Smith, you have Ray Tillett. You have a lot of guys through the years. As I said, Raymer, Hodnett was really good. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. I would put him in without sitting down and putting him side by side. I will say he's in the top 3. He's definitely Mount Rushmore in Central PA. Jeremy, what is going on with Macri? Hasn't started good in the last couple features. Hoping for a win at a crown jewel this year from the 39M team. Thoughts? He's just drawn bad. They're day shows, and he's drawn the back of heat races on tracks where you can't really pass because, again, they're rubber up. They're very narrow. It's not like the 39M isn't fast. It's not like he's not passing cars. He's starting 19th or somewhere there because he starts at the back of the heat race. He gets up to 5th. They line him up according to where they finish in the heat. And he's pretty much in trouble the rest of the day. I don't think anything we've seen so far in Central PA is overly indicative of what we're going to see as we go through here. I do think Chase Dietz is going to be fast. Lincoln seems to be able to get a surface where during the day you can move around a little bit. And Chase Dietz has been able to come from like 6th to win a feature there. But for Macri, starting in the back, it's just so difficult to get to the front and get up far enough to where you can start in the first 4 or 5 rows of the feature. So he's starting real deep, and it makes it difficult. So the last couple of weeks aren't indicative of what, the speed that team has. He started in the front at Baps and he won. Again, pseudo day, evening surface. So I think Macri's just fine. He's going to win a ton of races this year and a lot of money. Any update on the Vertrulo 83W? I know they relocated and plan on racing in the Midwest, but they let Dylan Bloomfield go a couple of months back. Yeah, I heard I guess they were building a house or building something and might have overextended a little bit. So I think they kind of dialed the racing back for now. So I have no update past what I learned from Dylan Bloomfield or what he was told. If the Grove wants more fans, you have to let them see the whole track. I'm sure it would be a substantial cost. I don't think it would be a huge cost. To me, you got to clear out turns 1 and 2 back there and park them in the back. I would do it simply for the time trials. When the Outlaws come in, they have to do that split. Where, because they have the cars piling up in the front. It just takes forever, in other words. So I think it would just help their program, especially when you have big races like the Outlaws. I don't think that's why people aren't jamming the stands there. I think it's much deeper than that. I'm not one who believes, because it's no different than it was a number of years ago, the early 2000s. Yeah, the trailers are a tick smaller, but not a ton. So I don't believe that it's just, a visual problem. I think there's more to it than that. But I would move the pits outside if I could. I don't know how much it would cost to clear all that, shrubbery out and trees and whatnot. But I would do it just so it makes the big programs run better. You run your time trials out of the infield. Will Logan Seavey run more wing races in 2026? I think that's up in the air. I know the problem is having a ride and getting a ride to run more races. The CB Industries thing obviously isn't something I think that's going to run 80 races. So where's he go? Is somebody going to let somebody go and bring him in as a project? And you could say, well, it's Logan Seavey. It won't be a project. Yes, it will. He's still kind of new to the wing game. I think he can learn on the fly. I think he's really talented. I think he could do well, but it is going to take some time. Does an owner at a higher profile team want to get rid of somebody who maybe is a seasoned veteran, bring him in, and is Seavey going to outperform the other guy? And then if it's a smaller team, I doubt highly Seavey's going to is going to leave USAC, where he does really well whenever he touches the track, to go run a car maybe that isn't top notch. So I think I think it needs to, it would have to be the right opportunity. And I just don't know if he's going to get that. So I have no idea if they plan to run more, like a significant amount, but I think there'll be a few more winged races this year. But in the future, I saw something in the chat. I'm kind of skipping a question there into but it's the same topic. I don't know if it's something that's going to happen in the future, but yes, I do expect a few more winged races in 2026. Just, I don't know if it's going to be like 30, 40, 50, like people seem to want. Why did they change the blend rule? This hosed Macedo this past weekend. There should be no blend rule to begin with. It's dangerous. Look, we can't preach safety on one hand and then have a blend rule on the other. Just throw the caution. If you do a 360, you go to the rear. That's it. I never liked the blend rule to begin with because it's very subjective where they're blending in. You're leading to more people crying conspiracy theory. Just have a black and white rule. You do a 360, you go to the rear, problem solved. Don't open yourself up to interpretation. You start doing three, and then it's the safety issue too. Maybe guys will stop then and won't try and keep doing 360s and run into 4 cars while they're doing it. And then have a pileup that takes longer than if he would have stopped in the first place. I'm not a blend rule guy. Look, you do a 360, and it was Carson's fault. He got hot into turn 1 and 360'd on his own. He didn't get hosed. He did it himself. I'm sure he would admit that. He made a mistake, and he tagged the rear for it. Eric, did you have to do a wellness check after Florida chalked? It's choked. Asking for a friend. Didn't bother me really at all. I'm not a big basketball guy. More of a football guy. Yeah, it's nice if they win. That's great, but I'm not vested as much as, say, football or some of the other sports. Any thoughts on the possibility of Seavey running high limit full time next year with Spire? My guess is yes. I had Jeff Dickerson on the deep dive, and he indicated to me that they have no plans to put a second car on the track full time. He kind of indicated that, the money men in the organization just kind of look at him and and always kind of put their hands over their head when he comes up with that idea. So I don't know how quick Spire's going to be to put a car another full-time car on high limit. I would be surprised to see that next year. Deep dive, Rich Eichelberger. He's driven in every possible class in Central PA. Yes, he has. Really good super sportsman driver. Thoughts on the PA Posse Series races being draw shows this past weekend? Seems like there could be one standard format for a series like this. Yeah, there should be. They screwed up. To me, there's a lot of griping in the pit area about draw shows. And the simple fix was just run time trials against your heat. It would have been 8, 10 cars. Simple. Done. I don't know why anybody didn't think of that. Having draw shows, you're taking people out of the equation 2 races into the year. Let's say Anthony Macri was on the fence about running the series. Now he draws 2 pills in the back. He finishes, I believe, 9th and 11th, something like that. And he's how many points behind Dietrich and Deweese, who are tied for the point lead? A ton. It would discourage a guy from running the series, or could potentially discourage a guy from running the series or running more series races. I thought it was a huge whiff or miss by the series to not say, hey, we're going to run one of 2 things. Either say they're not point races, which we already have 3 mulligans, so I guess those guys could use mulligans, but they're going to use them when they go to Knoxville. Or they're going to use them when they go out for other big races. To me, should have been heat race time trials. You time trial against the guys in your heat race. At least the driver has some control over the rest of their night, or the rest of their day in this case. They had none with the pill draw. So yes, I agree it should be one format, or some semblance of, not pill draw. No. Scotty Thiel should have gotten another opportunity to stop on the track and go to the work area. Who wants to see racing when we can see lappers turn wrenches? I guess it was 2 cautions he brought out, and they KO'd him for the night. That's a good rule. During the drivers' meeting at Williams Grove, I like the changes. Nouse is making an effort to make their programs more time efficient. I think efficiency is always something sprint car racing should be aware of. I think people's attention spans are getting shorter. And if you want to keep up with the other sports, other forms of entertainment, got to streamline your shows. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all. Lauda, how about Thiel slowing down to bring out yellow so he could work on his car in the work area? Yeah, this is why I'm not a work area guy. I think it promotes guys stopping on the track. We can go back to the efficiency of shows, changing the outcome of shows for a guy in the back, so on and so forth. The list is endless for reasons not to have the work area. Again, it has to be monitored. People have no confidence in the amount of time people are standing or staying in there because there's no clock timing them. We're taking Johnny's word for it. And people don't want to do that anymore. So there's 4 or 5 reasons not to have the work area as it stands now. And I can't really think of one that, supersedes one of those 5. So I agree. I mean, this is my problem with the work area. People stop it on the track. It's more cautions. Mooney posted that the teams got a bulletin board during the week that said the first 2 races were show up points only. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where he got that, because I've never read that in any of the series literature that I've seen. I think that is a misstep on the draw. I heard that in the pit area from multiple teams. I don't know where they got it. It's simple math. They had 47 races. They took 10 races away at Speed Week and make them show up points. That leaves 37 races. It said it in a release. I don't know where that came from. Same as I heard teams were talking. It was in the offseason. They said to me, the guy who won Speed Week gets extra points. No, they don't. I don't know where this stuff came from. So if somebody within the PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series is saying that, they're wrong. It's never been released like that I've seen. So I don't know where guys are getting that. I don't know how it's spreading. I think personally, and this could be a 90 at 9 this week, I think it shows a misstep on the series part, not having the drivers involved in this or the teams involved from the beginning. And I think it shows how things get spread around the pit area on the team side that just aren't true. I don't know who told him this. If you read all the releases, it never says that. So he may have it on the board. I don't know where it came from, unless somebody within the series told him that and they misspoke. And again, that falls on the series. I thought teams should have been brought into the fold through this whole process. And I don't really want to hear that this thing got together late. They were talking about this after last April, and I believe they had their first meeting. I think they had meetings before the end of the season at BAPS. Come on, this isn't hard. So I blame both sides for it. And, there's enough blame to go around on why some things weren't buttoned up and people got the wrong impression. Merch update. I have been in contact with the merch guy. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. It's just I'm waiting for some things to come in. I think Sheldon over under 7 wins. I'm going to go a little under, just a little under. I'd say 5. Is Tanner Thorson a legit contender for the high limit title? I think it's too early to tell to give a fair assessment. Look, we're 6 races into the season. Here's what I like. Vegas was a big track. He was one of the fastest cars. Probably could have won the last night. Didn't, could have. Really good at Central Arizona. I know the last night, I think he dropped back to 8th. It was his first finish outside the top 5. My concern with Tanner Thorson, will he win enough to beat Rico and Aaron Reitzel? Those two guys can win at a high rate, double digits, close to it. Obviously, they only run 64 shows, I believe. I don't know if Tanner Thorson can win enough because at some point, it's going to have bad luck, mechanical problem. Everybody does, unless you're David Gravel. I think it's too early to tell. I know that sounds like a cop-out. I'm a little surprised by the start. Does he have the potential to? Well, sure, but legit. Other guys aren't performing well. Courtney's kind of off. Gio has all top 10s, but again, gotta win races. Rico, again, I think his average finish so far is like 5.5. It's in that 6 range. That's not, it needs to improve. So, yeah, I guess Thorson is legit. Is a legit title contender as of now, but I think it's a little early. This season, the Hershey Bears didn't look as good as I thought they would. Is it worth it with the current team to plan on being a season ticket holder for the next season or 2? Yeah, I mean, they change over. This team's younger. A lot of different pieces. I think they're transitioning from the team that won the Calder Cup 2 years in a row, and then last year they looked slow in the playoffs. They just didn't look quick. So I think they're getting younger. I think they're getting quicker, but I think it's taking time for that team to gel. I think getting the lines. They also have a new head coach. So I think there are a lot of moving parts. I'm going to get my tickets. You know, it's. I think they'll be better next year than this year. It'll be interesting to see but the Capitals are going to pick players up and bring them up. Ethan Frank's not there anymore. He's going to stay up. Ilya Protas, I don't know if he's going to come up. There's a couple other guys that you got to wonder if the Capitals are going to pluck them out of the AHL. So, but that's what the AHL teams are for. They feed the parent club. I get your tickets. I'm sure it'll be fun, but they look bad on Sunday. Woo. That's the worst they've looked in a period all year. Will Votto rubber tonight? I have no idea. I hope not. Thorson mentioned post-race a couple races ago about how his car is finally winning despite being different from everyone else. What's he mean by that? They use coilovers. They use coilovers and no one else does. It's not new. Sammy Swindell did it. There's other teams that have done it. But nobody's using the coilover right now. And I know there's a lot of people who think teams are going to switch over. I don't necessarily buy that. I think if he ran off 5-6 wins in a row, maybe. But Anthony Macri has 3 wins. David Gravel has 3 wins. Chase Dietz has a couple wins. I don't think there's going to be this revolution to jump over from the coilover. But he runs a coilover suspension there. So that's what the big difference is. And I'm sure there's other things. Tanner Holmes top 10 tonight at Votto, over under. Well, they're going to have 31, 32 cars. It's got to time better. Wasn't good at Central Arizona again. I'll say he gets a top 10 tonight. I'll say he gets top 10. Can Bill Balog match 3+ wins from last year? He's been flirting with it. They go to Wisconsin. Yeah, I think he can. Last week, I asked who your Mount Rushmore of Western PA sprint car drivers are. My thoughts are definitely Tim Schaefer, Ed Lynch, maybe Todd Schaefer and Bob Felmy. Todd Schaefer was more of a Central PA guy. Yeah, I know he ran at Sharon. So if you're going to claim him for the few years that he ran out there, I think that's a stretch. Felmy, yeah. I think you're in the ballpark. Definitely in the ballpark. Those, especially Tim Schaefer. Definitely Tim Schaefer. Probably number 1. One of Knoxville Nationals. Dylan Norris win total is in 410s this year. I think he gets 1. 1 or 2. No more. I don't know how much he's going to run with that car. I mean, he's running the Plank car. He can win at Lincoln. So I think he'd get maybe 2, but they're going to be moving around a little bit, I think. David Gravel has 134 outlaw wins. How many more do you see him winning in his career? I can see him maybe getting to 4th all-time in wins. I agree. I think he can. If he stays with that team, they're just going to keep racking him up. He's going to be over 200. He's not old. He's been around a long, long time. So I could definitely see him getting to 4th. What is holding this sport back from becoming as big as everyone wants it to be? We only have an hour and a half. I think a number of things. First and foremost, some of the inherent problems. How many people do you know, if you work in an office or a warehouse, who want to go sit out 95-degree heat and it's all dusty and they go home and have to take a shower? If you go to an NFL game, you don't have to do that. If you go to a hockey game, you don't have to do that. If you go to a basketball game, you don't have to do that. It's outdoors. So I think there are some things that make it unappealing to the average Joe on the street who isn't, quote unquote, a diehard. I also think the amenities. Go look at some of the bathrooms at the track. Are you going to want to take your wife there? Your daughter? Women care about facilities. It's been proven that they care about bathrooms, things of that nature. It's kind of easy for a guy. A woman has, more hurdles to cross when they go to the bathroom. So I think facilities, it's just not being appealing, being outdoors and dealing with dust and other things. I also think as well, I just don't think there's a big enough platform for it to grow. I think it's confusing. Think about it this way, less than 5%. In fact, it's probably less. In fact, I know it's less. Do it for a living. So you have weekend warriors out there. And that's the bulk of your sprint car roster across the country. There aren't many guys who do it for a living. The money isn't big enough. I know the money's growing and that's great, but I think there is an allure for fans who can go watch excellence. They know that Tom Brady, let's use a current player, Patrick Mahomes. They know Patrick Mahomes earned his way into the NFL and has achieved excellence. I could go run an Outlaws race tomorrow. I could go run at Williams Grove Friday night, and they might ask me about what I've done, told me to go to the back, but I can race. People care about seeing excellence. They want to know they're seeing excellence, and people who get paid a lot more money than they make in a year for one game. It's part of it. And I think there is an exposure problem. And I just think some people they view racing a certain way. It's very niche. I just don't think it has the potential to grow past that. And then, two, it's fragmented. Try explaining to somebody who doesn't go what the World of Outlaws is compared to what Williams Grove is weekly. The different rules. Every track seems to have different rules. It's just hard to grasp. When you have different rules, you have different cars. What does this car do? What does that car? I just think there are a lot of problems and a lot of hurdles to cross to make it get even as big as NASCAR. Remember, NASCAR, everybody knows what it is. Okay? They all look the same. They run on the track Sunday. Yeah, you have Xfinity and truck, but my God, the rules from Knoxville to Williams Grove to the Outlaws to High Limit to Huset's to, track in Wisconsin to Florida to the tracks in Pennsylvania can't run the same rules. And they're all within an hour and a half. There's just too many problems to make it. It's just too many hurdles to cross is the easy way to say it. What's the downside running coilovers? That is past. I wish I could answer that. I do not know, admittedly, and I apologize. I don't know enough about coilover versus your regular standard car. I mean, it's definitely something I'm asking around about, especially with Tanner Thorson becoming better at it. I'm trying to find somebody who's done both and who has switched other than Tanner Thorson. So that might be something to ask me in a couple weeks. Woo has become boring and predictable. David Gravel has pretty much wrapped things up with Kofoid and Macedo's stumbles. I hear that, but do people care about points? Because I know locally they don't. Locally, fans don't care about series points. They don't care about different point payouts. They care about winning races. I have to wonder, and I'm not saying people don't care about the World of Outlaws and high limit points. I'm saying I do think the ratio has changed. I think more people care less about points than maybe in the past. That being said, Creek County was a good race. It's not like the Outlaws have crappy races. Okay? Yes, Lawton was bad. Not good. But there aren't a lot of races that aren't decent. So, I mean, if you don't want to watch World of Outlaws, I don't know what to tell you. I view them. I think they're entertaining. Yes, even if David Gravel wins. But I'm not vested in one driver over the other. So I understand maybe you feeling that way. I still think it's entertaining between those top three guys, and you get a good story like Baylog, and you get a good story like, Shots doing better than last year, or Sheldon rebounding after Florida. I think there's still a lot of good stories there and reasons to follow. Oh, Eric's giving me the 1 minute sign. Oh, Jim from Buffalo on line 2. Jim, how are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. How about you, Jeremy?
Not too bad. Just gonna wait to see for high limit to come on and some hockey.
I'm just watching hockey tonight. So anyways,
figured.
But, I got a couple thoughts on where the show is going tonight. As far as the work area, it's another thing they can get sponsored, but I think about the only thing you should be able to do in the work area is change a flat tire.
Agreed.
Give them a couple laps, change a flat tire,
Yep.
Get them the hell out of there. They don't need to rebuild a whole car unless there's like a long red or something like that, and they have the opportunity to do it. I could see it then.
Sure.
But also too, nice win for Lance DeWeese there at the Grove. I mean, that team's going to be pretty damn formidable because that's always been a fast car, even when Freddie was driving it. Now you got Lance driving it, and I mean, the guy wins. He gets it up to the front, and knock on wood, he doesn't tear it up. Love watching the guy race. He races properly.
Yeah, I mean, Lance. I think formidable is a good word to use. I know they have 80 races on their schedule. How many they run? I know they're going to run more than he has in the last 10 years. So we'll see how he does. I mean, he seems like they got the brake issue fixed after the first couple races of the season. He alluded to that in the video that we played pre-race or pre-show. And I think if he does run the entire series, I think he can win the series.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, he's been at all those tracks and everything.
Yep.
I don't doubt that at all. But the big question, I didn't see his list of races that he was looking at. Any chance he might be going to the Nationals?
No, he's not going to the Nationals. No.
Okay. Well, that would be outstanding. But just a couple other thoughts here. I want to get off the phone before I get criticized by the criticizers. But, I just want to say, hey, that show at Creek County last week, loved the show. Great race. Man, what a mob they had there. That was beautiful to see. I mean, just beautiful to see all those people there. And, Emmett knows how to prep a track. I mean, he's only been doing it for 100 years. People bitch about the Chili Bowl. He makes adjustments and he gets it right. I thought that was a damn good show on Saturday night, like you were saying earlier. So, Friday night, yeah.
Snoozer.
Yeah, it was It was a good night to watch hockey. I'll just say that.
It's always a good night to watch hockey.
Oh yeah. Well, here's my question that I broached to you before, but not on the show. When the Outlaws go to Belleville, are they running the big track or the quarter mile?
I heard it's the big track, but I don't know for sure. I would hope it's the small one.
Oh dear God! I've seen tape from the last time they ran the big track.
Scary,
boy,
scary.
It's wicked fast. And I mean, the champ cars there, they're fast enough. But Jesus, you put the wings on that thing, yeah.
I haven't gotten very good clarification on which track it is. I keep hearing the big track, and man, I don't even know if I want to watch that one.
Fast. No. I was talking to my buddy out there in Knoxville, and Wayne Johnson was talking. So I asked Wayne, I go, "You guys ever lift when you're in a 360 at Belleville?" And he goes, "Nah, just keep it on the floor. Have to break here and there to turn." He goes, "Sometimes you don't even know where you are." So it's just a big circle.
No,
but
hey,
I'm patiently waiting for my second favorite touring series, the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Always loved them, even when Bert ran it. I mean, it's a decent show at a decent price, and they always seem to put on a good show. Love the All-Stars. So, anyways, and last thing is just a big week for the Sabres this week. Took 7 out of 8 out in the left coast. Very happy with that. So, magic numbers could be down to 9 after tonight. So anyways, have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the racing. We'll see you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Jim. We'll see how your Sabres do in the playoffs. That's the telltale. Regular season's nice, but need some playoff success. Thank you very much, Jim. Let's get back to the chat. Brent Marks, fastest in hot laps at Vado. All right, we're getting updates. He needs a good run. I think his average finish in the first 6 races, 14.3. I might have a bet with a certain listener between Thorson and Marks who finishes higher in the point standings. Just saying. What's your opinion on the All-Stars roster, and do you think anyone else will join? I think I've heard there could be like 3 stragglers in there, guys who are thinking about it. I think a Zeth Sabo could end up doing it, or someone else. Look, you're not getting a who's who roster there. Okay, you're just not. I like the fact that it's now a regional series. Guys who maybe want to move up at some point in their career, or a guy who just wants some higher paying shows in their region and it's not too cumbersome. I think sprint car racing shifted a little bit. Obviously, with 2 national tours, you have 30 guys on the road full time. And I don't think, again, as I said earlier about the growth of the sport, I don't think you're going to get 60, 80, 90 guys doing it for a living. I just don't think you're going to do that. Regional series should be just that. Guys who want some higher paying shows, or guys who, like, say, I'm writing a story and I should have posted it. I'm going to post it when I'm done, on Buddy Schweibens, a new guy in Central PA. He's 20 years old, raced at Port Royal last week. He's run 8 410 races. Eventually, he'd like to go out on the road. I think after he gets some experience here, I think going to the All-Stars would be a good place for him, kind of to make that progression up the line. That's what the regional series should be. So I don't expect to see hitters or people who are considered hitters running the All-Stars right now, or Power I for that matter. We'll see. But I think I like what they're doing with the All-Stars. I talked to Rich Farmer, I believe it was last week, and I think they're doing a good job. I think they're right in line with what they should be, bringing that series back, and it's obviously predominantly Ohio, but they've spread out a little bit. And I like it at about 32 to 36 races, no more. All drivers' meetings at Volusia, Wu said 360 rule was implemented for safety, which I said earlier. Wu said they didn't want cars staying in the gas trying to do 360s on the track. Instead, stop going to the back anyway. Agreed. And you can't tell me you have full control of one of those cars doing a 360. Full control. So no, I just stop, go to the back. Less cars in the work area, maybe. According to the Outlaw schedule, it's the Belleville Big Track. Yeah, that's scary. That is scary. Again, if we're going to talk safety, not a place you necessarily want to go. I've talked to some Outlaws teams about that, and there's some that are a little leery of it. You think Port will run Saturday? Looks to be cold night. They're supposed to start at 4. I think they're on the edge. 46 degrees is what I saw today. Granted, we're 4 or 5 days away, so it's really too early to tell. I think if it goes up 2, 3, 4 degrees, I think they'll give it a go. Again, it's at 4 o'clock, not 7. Get it done and get people out of there. But I think there's a chance he could be sitting home Saturday night. I think High Limit and the Outlaws need to have the same rule when it comes to a car doing a 360 and keeps going. Outlaws throw a yellow and High Limit keeps running without a yellow. I agree. Again, this goes back to why I said this sport can't grow. Think about the person, trying to think. My daughter, for instance, my daughter's a smart kid, but if she watched those 2 races back to back, which obviously you could, and you see 2 360s, she's going to say, Dad, why didn't they go to the back? Why didn't they throw the yellow? Absolutely. And I also believe it's a safety issue. I'm a fan of the work area for one reason. Let's say a title contender gets booted and they get a DNF because of no work area, but it should be limited to 1 visit per driver. So should Drake May have gotten an extra quarter just because they got to the Super Bowl? No. If you're a title contender, so what? It's part of winning the title. The fact that they're a title contender doesn't matter. It doesn't make the work area viable. It doesn't. Because I could turn it around and say, well, okay, everybody's telling me how boring the Outlaws are because it's a foregone conclusion that David Gravel's going to win the title. Okay, this weekend, and I'm not wishing it, but let's say David Gravel at US 36, something happens. Well, he gets to go to the work area and bail out. So he can maintain that lead because he's coming through. So, again, it works both ways. To me, no provisionals, work area for flat tires only. That's it. How it falls is how it falls. What is your favorite Greg Hodnett story? Do you think he would have had any involvement in racing once he retired? I hate doing the what he would have done when he's not here thing, so I'm not going to do that. I doubt it. He knew the economics of it, so I doubt he would have got involved in that. As for favorite Greg Hodnett story, there's a bunch of them. I just remember going to the track and talking about things that didn't have to do with racing. I know he was a Memphis football fan. And there were some people who came out of Memphis when Memphis was decent, and they came out into the draft, and he was like, "Oh, they're going to do really well," and I'm like, I'm not seeing it. And the guy didn't pan out, and then I went up to him and said, "Hey, how's that guy doing?" And we just went back and forth. It was just he was just a pleasure to talk to in the pit area. He talked about mountain climbing. We talked about, honestly, when I got divorced, we talked about that because he went through that. He was just a guy you could talk to about anything, and he wasn't self-serving. He's a lot like Lance DeWeese. When they talk about purses, look, those guys are the guys who can win, especially at that time. Lance was in the 69K. They looked at it and Lance still to this day, what is best for the sport and the people and the drivers as a whole, not just themselves. Greg was very much an ambassador to the sport. He is missed still to this day. I would say this Pennsylvania series would be better because I would like to think that a promoter would have called Greg Hodnett to ask him what he thought. If they wouldn't, it would just be a gross injustice because he was just a wealth of information and knowledge. So he's missed all the way around in this sport. This whole series is a shit show, just like their pay-per-view streams. Yeah, I mean, I don't watch. I mean, I've seen a lot on the pay-per-views, whether it be Facebook and so on and so forth. I've talked about it enough. I just think the series could have been done better, and I also don't think it has been sold to fans very well. I think there's been some missed opportunities, and it might be in a 90 at 9 this week. It might not. We'll see. That's hint for that it will. I just don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Thursday. How patient do you think KKR will be with Pursley, a team used to winning titles, and it looks like he still has a long way to go? Just remember, and I know somebody in the chat's going to get on me about this. They kind of waited on Brad Sweet. Now, he won the Kings Royal in the Ollie's car, which definitely helped the cause. And he won it early in his career. I think Casey knows that this is a developmental project. He brought in Jared Martin as a crew chief who doesn't have 410 experience. I think they're trying to develop this team from the ground up. I think he's going to get a long leash. I think he's going to be there all year regardless, unless obviously he gets hurt or something, God forbid. I don't think it's going to be a quick hook at all. I think Casey knows how this is going to go. And Dason Pursley's a talented driver. He's won in everything he's gotten in. He'll win here too. It's just going to take time. Was Hunter Schoenberg to the 73 really announced? If mentioned, if I missed it, and are they full time? I don't mean with a national series, but staying busy most every weekend, pick and choose. From what I gather, this is the car he's going to be in, but that car get a lot of changes with it. So I don't know how long it's going to be. Obviously, wrecked hard at Vegas. I don't think it'll be full time in the sense of on a national tour, as you said, but I think it'll be around most of the year. I think if I'm a betting guy, and I am, I'd say he'll be in and out of it. And what I mean by that is I think he'll run some races with them. I think he'll get a ride somewhere else, and then I think he'll be back to it. I think it'll be one of those things where it's not running 50, 60 races, and when he's not in it, he'll supplement his schedule otherwise. Just my thoughts without talking to them. Votto, top 5 in qualifying. Aaron Reitzel, big shock. Logan Seavey, that'll get people stirred up. Brent Marks, Cy Lynch, watch him. Justin Pett, who's another driver who needs a good run. He has an average finish of 11th with High Limit this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of turn things around at Votto on national television at 9 o'clock. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Track went away. Rico got confused on how many laps he ran. Oh, boy. That's never good. That's never good. I mentioned before about ticket prices. We went to PPMS Saturday for Fast Series. $45 for me and my son to get in. Show facility was so slow we left. Ooh. Thoughts on this happening more and more with costs? Oh boy, I could go on a long time about this. I won't. Just going to say that these series and these tracks need to be mindful of cost to fans, especially at $4 a gallon. Now, the people in California are saying, hold my beer or water or whatever they're drinking because they're paying more than us. But I know in Central PA, it's roughly $4 a gallon now. I do not think that is going away anytime soon. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but let's just say I think we're in for the long haul a little bit on this one. So I do believe, and this could end up being a 90 at 9 as well this week. I think these series and these tracks need to be mindful and need to kind of help fans out a little bit. What do I mean by that? Buy one, get one free. 50% off tickets. I'm not saying for sanctioned races. I'm saying for weekly shows. You got to buy grace with the fans. A fan would, and I've seen it in other sports, a fan would be more apt to pay for a bigger show if they go, correct me if I'm wrong, man, they gave us a $10 off that show last week. I'm going to support that track when the big race comes in, big show comes to town, because, they're doing something for us. You're buying grace. That's what that means. And tracks just don't do it. At least tracks around here don't do it. And they should. Babs Motor Speedway was doing it for a while. Now they're not doing it as much. And that's a problem. I thought the series should have given 3 gold. This is an idea I came up with, and I mentioned it to a local track about a golden ticket. Do a drawing where you give away a pass to all your races for the year. Give 3 of them away. People will spend for food. You're still going to get money out of them. But think about the grace you're buying with the fans. Cost is going to become, I believe, in the next 2 or 3 years, one of the biggest topics in racing. People are not going to pay, the way we're going, people aren't going to pay $70 to go to a race. They're not going to do it. So I know local shows here are $25. I know Knoxville has a pretty reasonable price. I think it's lower than ours. At least it was. High Limit and the Outlaws, that 40 to 45 range. Okay, you're starting to top out. And $45, for you and your son, I don't know how old your son is. For a Fast Series event, that's a little rough. Now, if it's 20 and 25, again, don't know how old your son is. So cost is something these tracks and these series need to be aware of. That's my thoughts on it. Things are going up, and I think they're going to stay there for a little bit. Craig on line 4. Craig, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad.
When it comes to attendance, I started going to the races in the early 90s, and it cost me $10 to get in on a regular night at the Grove, and I saw mostly Hall of Fame level drivers. The drivers we had then were top notch. Now they want me to pay twice as much and the quality of the cars and the quality of drivers just aren't there. So as somebody that came from that era, it's hard for me to want to spend money and go to the races now compared to what I used to see compared to now.
Central PA?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, when I started going in the early 90s on a regular night, you had Steve Smith, Donnie Craig, Keith Kaufman, Todd Schaefer. You had Billy Pouch. You had name after name on a regular night every night. And you don't have that anymore. You don't have 8, 9, 10 guys that can win every night like you do now. So it's hard for me to justify spending twice as much money to get in when I'm not seeing the quality of drivers that I used to see growing up.
I hear you. This isn't something that I haven't heard before. I do not have an answer for you as how to look at it any differently. I will say, the sport is different now. I do believe that there are guys outside, and it's not necessarily they're the top guys, but they still have a chance to win. And the reason is because the sport, there's a lot of parity in the sport now. I do believe you can't expect to get into the races for $10 anymore. Okay. That I agree with. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it being $20 to get in. I would like to see, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with BAPS's $5 night in June. I do believe you could give fans, okay, let's say you have a $20 show, give them $5 off. If let's say they go 1 week and they bring their rain check back, give them $5 off the next week. Do something. As for the competition, I do think the racing's still good. I hear this all the time, how the racing's so bad. I've been going since 80.
I'm not saying bad.
No, I know what you mean.
I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying it's not as good. If you went to the early 90s shows and the Outlaws came to town, if you go back and look, and you look at the starting lineups for, let's say, like a 1993 Outlaw race at Williams Grove, that was almost half the field was Hall of Famers.
Sure.
I mean, they were top-notch guys the whole way through. I mean, you could have Steve Smith starting 20th back in the day. Fred Raymer could have been in the B main. You had guys that were amazing. That it's just not like that anymore, and it's hard to justify spending all that money and going there and spending all day when you're going to watch maybe 3 or 4 guys. It's going to be Dietrich, Macri, Dietz. I mean,
I'm not going to lie to you and say there's as many Hall of Famers in the field now. There aren't. It's just the sport's expensive. We lost car owners. All I can say is the racing, I don't think is a lot worse. I think it's different, and that's because of the rules in this sport and the parity. But I cannot argue with you on the Hall of Famer thing. You are 100% correct.
And one more quick thing. I don't know if you remember back in the early 90s, they had the WSBA Budweiser Points Championship.
They called it PAPS.
Something like
PAPS too. The PAPS blue ribbon deal.
Yeah, why didn't they go back to something like that where guys got points every night no matter where they raced? It didn't matter if you were at Lincoln, Port Royal, Sealands Grove, you still got points for that. It's everything went into that point total. And we paid a lot of attention to that back in the day because a lot of times if your guy did good on Friday, he did good on Saturday. You wanted to go to Susquehanna on Sunday because he was on a roll. You wanted to see him make up them points. I don't know why they didn't go back to something like that.
Well, they had it last year. It's the hose heads deal. The hose heads deal was kind of similar, and I don't think people cared about the points other than the drivers. I think with the injection of big shows and more sanctioned shows and more high profile events, I don't think people care as much about points anymore at the local level. They don't pay enough. And you're now worried about going to the big shows.
Yeah, I don't think anybody worries about track championships anymore. That might have been a thing back in the day. But nowadays, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm Williams Grove track champion," nobody really cares. It doesn't hold weight like it used to.
Yeah, and I think
it's really frustrating.
Series are like that too. I think this series, I didn't hear one person. I sat in the stands at Williams Grove, And I sat up high enough that I was around a group of people. I didn't hear one person bring up points for the series. I didn't hear anybody bring up the series.
No, one thing that was a little bit different back in the 90s is WSB and Kurt Hart used to talk about it on the radio during their sports show. So they got a lot more exposure. They talked about points during that show, and I thought that was really something back then with Kurt Hart doing video stuff. So
yeah, no, I agree.
That's really all I wanted. I think that I don't know how they fix it. I think the sports got too expensive, and I think these big races hurt the local guys. Because nothing's more frustrating than going up to see say you're a Dietrich fan, you finally get a chance to go see Dietrich, and there's a big race, and you go to Williams Grove, and he's in Ohio. It really frustrates you.
Yeah.
And back when I used to go.
Yep.
Back when I went all the time, your local guy, he was there almost every race. He was there. If you were a Steve Smith fan, he was there almost every time.
No, you're not wrong.
I don't know how they fix it, but I think that's part of the problem.
I think fan activation and engagement. You got to endure yourself to fans now. And these tracks, I don't know if they know how to do it, to be honest.
Well, another thing is they don't have the secondary divisions anymore like they used to either. When I first started going to Lincoln, they ran semi-lates as the second division on a regular show. And that put on a good show, and you had a lot more limited sprints back then, the 358s. Which put on a lot better show because you had the sprints and you had a lot. Because when the limited showed up, you usually got 50 to 60 of them in a night.
Well, I
some pretty good shows.
I do think you need to worry about time nowadays. But now,
back then we didn't really care.
Nope, you didn't care. You were there till 1 o'clock. It was fine.
No,
it didn't matter.
Yeah, we'd sit in the rain delay at 2 o'clock in the morning if we had to. I mean, I remember sitting in Lincoln a lot of times after midnight waiting for the race.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But okay, well, I appreciate you taking my call, sir. Anytime,
Craig. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too. All right. What else have we got? I was impressed that Dylan Nar's interview last weekend. He looks like he's 16, but talk like he's seasoned pro. He's been around a little bit. He's been coached up a little bit as well. And oops, my cat got over on my foot. So yeah, no, I think Dylan has definitely come a long way in the interview process, and we'll see if he can come a long way as a driver. Call over deep dive with Stevie Smith. He's hard to get. He doesn't exactly like doing interviews. It's not something that he even liked really as a driver. But it's definitely on my list to try and get. Right now, there's a couple guys. I mean, I think Rod Gross would be a good one. I don't think anybody really knew. I met him for the first time at Williams Grove, and what a nice guy. What a nice guy. I'd like to get him on the show. Jeremy, any news on Lucas Wolf? Not as of now. I'm going to call him this week. Haven't gotten an opportunity to yet, and we'll see where he's at. But definitely, yes, it's kind of out there now. Sponsorship issues seem to be the hang-up. That 19 Ingersoll Rand race charity car in the late 90s, early 2000s ran pretty good on coils. It might be the ugliest car I've ever seen in my life. It didn't run that good. Not the Ingersoll Rand car did, but not the purple one. That one struggled. Jeremy, morning from Perth. Watched all Flow Racing races for Gio Scelzi. He's starting to look comfy. I feel it wins not too far off. Agreed. He has all top 10 runs so far with High Limit. Looked good in the finale at Central Arizona, finished second. And, I think Gio's going to get a win probably, I think, in the next 6 races. I'll even call my shot. I'll say the next 6 races. I think they'll be just fine. Eric Prutzman, I talked to him at Vegas. He said something interesting. He needs to get used to these cars and Gio at the same time, meaning what they want. What what makes him go quicker, how far he can go as far as when he's making tweaks. I think once they get that, they'll be just fine. I have faith in Eric Prutzman. He has a pretty good resume. Deep dive broken Jovan Schultz. I don't know about broken Joe. That's not. Joe's not so broke. I'm a Minnesotan. How can Thrum and Polkerback afford to attend all these national races when they seldom make the feature? Good question. I would say they're funded well. Has to be the funding. Funding needs to come from somewhere. Start looking at their sponsors, family money. I don't know what it is, but they're still out there. So it's got to be coming from somewhere. Jeremy, cost to watch 5 months of NFL, all games in 2026 is $1,200 plus. Cost to watch 12 months of all dirt track racing is about $500 to $600. Why are people complaining? I think you're short on the $500 to $600. If you buy Dirt Vision, that's $399. You buy Flow, you're at $450. And then if you're going to go to some races yet, or if you're going to buy the PA Posse deal, that's per race. If you buy all the PA Posse races, that alone's in the 900,000 range. You're short on your $500-600. If you're just going to go to your weekly track that runs 15 shows, okay, yeah. But if you're going to do and see national series events, or you're going to go and see all dirt track racing, like you said, you're paying more than $500-600. And by the way, Sugar Bear, I don't think racing, when I say that they need to be mindful of costs, I'm not saying the costs are out of line. I'm saying race fans aren't used to paying that. It's a different clientele. By inflation purposes, if we're going to look at the inflation, racing's right in line. The problem, race fans aren't used to paying that, and they're not going to pay it. It's not the NFL. Occasionally, we hear rumors about 410s going to starters. This would speed up the shows. Do you think it will ever happen? No, I do not. I think the cost alone would be a problem. You're going to have everybody switch over, and teams complain if they have to put an extra bar in the car. So no, I don't think it ever happens. What 5 racing publications that are no longer in print do you miss most? Huh. Who do I miss most? That's a tough one. Most of the ones that I read are still published. I would say publications that are still around that aren't the same. They're just not as good. I don't think Area Auto Racing News is as good as it used to be. I don't think National Speed Sport is anywhere close to the way it used to be. So I do not read other publications anymore. I read books because if I want to work on my writing, I don't even read racing stuff. So it's not that the publications are gone. It's just they changed. Guys moved on. Jerry Regal was a guy. I can tell you more guys that I used to read. Chris Economaki, Bergeron, Jerry Regal. Those guys were old school guys who did it the right way. I'll still read Argabright. Argabright's a good writer. There's a few others, but those guys jump off the page. They're no longer around. So it's not so much publications, it's more writers who are no longer doing it because they're no longer on this mortal coil, or they just moved on to do other things. Justin Peck is struggling this year. What's up? Can't blame it on a piece of shit Ford motor anymore. No, they got to get it together. And that's why I think it's critical at this point. They bought 5 motors off Bernie Stubjen. I think that's public knowledge now. They're Garrett's. I think pressure's on. And he timed 5th tonight, so maybe this is the start of something. I do know they have kind of a new crew there, kind of a hierarchy on how they make decisions during the night. So you give them a little bit, and then, the expectations go up. And I think we're getting to the point where those expectations go up. Jerry Regal was always a good read. Yeah, he was a good friend of mine and kind of a mentor, so to speak. Got me in at the Harrisburg Patriot News. Really jump-started my career in journalism. I owe him a lot. Jeremy, is there someone in PA, past or present, who could have went national tour and dominated? I mean, if you go way, way back, but it was different then, like an Opperman, Lynn Pat. Dominated is a strong term. I don't think dominated, because Steve Kinzer was around in 1978. So I don't think dominated. I do think Lynn Paxton would have done very well. Keith Kaufman went. He ran the national tour. I can't think of anybody else who didn't go. That's probably about it. Kenny Weld, I just saw Kenny Weld. Yeah, Kenny Weld would have done well, but he went to jail. I don't think it was that he just didn't do it. He went to jail. So I think that kind of definitely stunts growth. Do you think Sunshine's ride is safe? He's been a big non-factor since the start of High Limit. Yes, I think he's one of the safest guys on tour. Absolutely. I still think look, he came out and ran 360s and did very well. Okay. It's kind of expected. It's 360s. 410, a little more competitive. He's picked up the pace a little bit. He's had 2 races where he's really hasn't finished well. Otherwise, he's been in the top 10, top 5. He has 2 5ths and a 4th in 6 high limit races. I'm not ready to. Yes, he's not finished on the podium yet. His ride's safe. There's no way they're getting rid of him. No way. Billy Pouch would not have dominated. No. Good, but he didn't dominate here. So he wasn't going to dominate on the road. No way Courtney gets fired. No way. Will on line 5. Will, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
All right. Well, what I wanted to touch on a couple topics that you're speaking about tonight. Now, as far as the work area, High Limit's got a pretty good rule now. It saves fuel and it saves so many yellows. The other one is the 360 rule. Back in the day, when a guy did a 360 and saved it, it was a hell of a part of the show. People in the crowd just went nuts when that happened. And with the rule now in some divisions, you take that away. You take that spectacular moment away. But like you said earlier, guys that do the 360 today, they cause accidents like the McFadden one at Casa Grande earlier.
Agreed.
But my main thing I called about was the car counts in California. This past weekend, you had 14 cars at Watsonville, 14 cars at Marysville, 14 cars at Paris, and then you had 23 cars at Placerville. And no Justin Sanders. He didn't race, I guess, for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I don't think there was a race out there that he should have run.
Well, I agree with that because
They didn't pay much.
if you look at the top five, right? Well, they didn't pay much. Plus, there wasn't a heavy hitter in any of the fields except for Selzy at Watsonville, and he should have won. You know, if you think about it.
Well, Watsonville has struggled with car count for the last, 2-3 years. It's just been terrible. They were getting 11 cars last year at one point. Marysville's never really getting a huge car count. Placerville, 23. Isn't that closer to what they normally get there? Maybe they get a few more. It's kind of standard out there, isn't it?
Well, but what I'm saying is I agree with the guy Craig, you know, back in the 90s or whatever. I guess we're older guys. You know, you had 5 or 6 heavy hitters. You look at some of these top 5 lists, and there ain't a heavy hitter in there except for Selzy.
Well, and the only reason Selzy
won.
The only reason Selzy was there is because he had off-season surgery and he wanted to get laps.
Probably, yeah, you're probably right about that. But Bloomfield, he won at Placerville, and Jaden Bunch, that's a local guy for Marysville. And then, you know, but that goes along with what's going on in California with the touring divisions. We've been deleted. You know, I mean, how many guys are racing full time on tours when they used to race locally in California?
I think that's a big part of it. There's more money. And really, look at the high limit roster. There's a lot of California flavor there. And yeah, I think this is something Pennsylvania's gone through at times. And I think it's cyclical. And we'll see what Jet Barnes does. Is Jet Barnes going to be there much longer? I don't know. But the car counts out in California at this point don't surprise me. I'll be curious what they get at Thunderbolt this week for the NARC show.
Well, you'll see more cars than on my list, on these lists that I spoke about, I'm sure, you know, because it's, you know, a lot of people like that track for some reason. They like to tear up their cars, I guess. I don't know, but well, thanks for taking my call. One more thing. The top 5 in Casa Grande on the last night, you had 4 out of 10 from Cali in the top 10. You had McFadden, that's a California car. You had Gio Selzy, Brad Sweet, and then Rico was 10th. You know, like I said earlier, you know, most of these guys would run, most of the tracks I spoke about on a weekly basis.
Yeah, California right now is producing the best talent on the national tours. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Will. Thank you. All right, let's get through these chat questions. Get out of here. People can watch High Limit on FS1. What do we got here, Eric? What kind of expenses track insurance? Getting more expensive. That's a big expense. You have it spread out throughout the year in most cases. And I would say it's probably 10%. I'd say it's about 10% of your expenses for a nightly show, somewhere in there. It's pricey and it's going up. There used to be 10 companies. Now there's 2. Does BAP still give season passes to people that live within a half mile of the track? That I'm not sure of. They were doing that. That's actually, I would call and ask the track. They used to do that. I don't know if they do it anymore. Sugar Bear, how do you not have FS1? Would lowering gate prices bring in enough people to offset loss of initial price? That's a good question. I don't know, but I'd like to see a track try it. If I had a sprint car track and it was a lower, if it was just a regular weekly show and my cost was $25, I would try 15 one week just to see what would happen. I'd advertise the crap out of it. I would, whatever it is, and I would fire it and try it. Problem is, no one's really tried it. These $5 events, we'll see what BAPS does. We'll see what Knoxville does. Their opener is free to the public. Colton Gauss just chimed in. BAPS gives a neighbor passes to people that live 0.5 miles from the track off GPS. Yeah, and there's a lot of other things that they've done to help fans with costs. Some of them they don't do anymore, which I think is a travesty. But there you go. Good neighbor policy. I'm broke due to PA Posse TV being $5,000. It's not $5,000 a year, Sugar Bear. Come on now. Be nice. Any updates on Devin Borden? He has a power washing business, and I think he's looking to scrape enough money together to do his own deal. I think that's the long-term goal for him. But as of now, power washing. It's been a pretty successful business so far. It's interesting seeing how much it seems like Aaron is enjoying racing on tour now. Different situations, different owner, way different owner. I'm surprised as well. And it's such a night and day switch to when I talked to him with the Outlaws to late last year. He's enjoying this a lot. And I don't think he knows how long he's going to do it, but it's not as much of a burden to him as it has been in the past. And I think he's having a good time. I think it's his owners. He really likes his owners. Deep dive Jeff Shepard. Take note. Gio wins one of next three. Could be tonight. Was he in the top five, Eric, in qualifying? I don't know if he was. I don't think he was. No, it's going to be tough. Aaron Reitzel set quick time. Logan Seavey. Then it was Brent Marks. That's right. It was Brent Marks. And then Cy Lynch and then Justin Peck. It's going to have to earn it. If they took your press credentials away, would you still go to all the races in the pits at $35, $40 a race? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Had Fred Raymer run with the Outlaws in his prime for 10 years, would he have won a title? No. Why did Kenny Well go to jail? Drugs. What is with some of the support classes with Woo and High Limit? Last week they ran 3 heats with only 18 cars. High Limit didn't have a support group. It was World of Outlaws. Look, I think that's a promoter's choice. Back gate. Give the local, if they're in a certain area where the locals come, meaning fans, and they want to see the cars that run there weekly. They could cap it, invitational, whatever it is. I think that's High Limit has kind of gone away from that as much as possible. And I don't think they had a support division in Vegas. And as far as I'm concerned, they didn't need it. But they had it for 2 of the 3 nights. But they didn't have it last week in Central Arizona, I don't believe. Jeremy, who will get fired? Part ways with their team by Knoxville time. Oh my God. It's way too early to say that. On the national level, it's too early to tell, Sugar Bear. Ask me that in about 3 or 4 weeks after we have a bigger sample size. It's way too early. If owners are thinking about that now, they're bad owners. Did you ever see George Washington's sprint car driver in the 1980s? And is he still around? No. Went to the Bears game Sunday night. Pretty uninspired hockey from them. Seemed like a lot of people left with their Hershey Park tickets at the end of the second period. It was bad. It was one of the worst performances I've seen from them. It was terrible. All right, Jeremy, why are you not a fan of 360s at Marshalltown the week of the Knoxville? I will give you, because I'm busy writing all the time. In my off time, I go to other things. I have other interests. And it's Knoxville week. I write and I'm up till 3 a.m. every night from 360 Nationals all the way through the end of the Knoxville Nationals. I don't even go to bed the final night because I get on a plane at 6 a.m. There is no way on the day that I don't have to go to a race that I'm going to Marshalltown. I have 0.0 interest in it. And I'm sorry if that sounds disrespectful to Marshalltown or 360s. That's not where I'm at with it. I just don't, no. And furthermore, I actually take my photographer out, Brent. I take him out to a nice dinner because he gives me a lot of good shots throughout the year, and it's my way of saying thank you to him. We go to a nice restaurant in Pella, and I'm not giving that up. You asked me a question about ChatGPT. Put that up, Eric. I will address this now, and I'll address it again next week. Jeremy, we know you use AI and ChatGPT to write. You're up late gambling and texting Thailand errors. I have never used AI, and nor will I ever use AI. It promotes laziness. There you go. I'll expand on that next week. All right. Is Mike Wagner racing this year or just his son? As of now, just his son. I could see him coming out for special events, but he's not going to run weekly. Would like to see a well-funded Central PA team give AJ Flick a chance. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see him with more money running Central PA more. Would you use AI to find gambling trends? Yes. Not writing, no. Oh, Eric's telling me no. So he's saying that doesn't work. This is the most animated Eric, our producer's ever been in the little box at the bottom. He's saying you never do that. I'll have to get the answer on why, but I would never use it to write or in my job. I guess I should have been. I will have to get the answer from him on why no AI gambling trends. Apparently, it seems like he might have gotten bitten by that. Do you think Rico will be successful running for Tony Stewart? Yeah, I think he's going to win his share of races. I think he'll do fine. I'm not picking him to win the title. I took Aaron Reitzel. I do think, and I don't necessarily think it's a Tony Stewart problem. I think it's more just Rico has a lot going on, and I think Aaron's fast, and I think he's just going to be better this year. But yes, I think Rico will be successful with Tony. What does Zeb Wise and Parker Price Miller do now that they aren't racing much? Parker Price Miller is going to run part-time or a schedule that suits. He's running a business. He's running the family business. So I think he's content doing that. Zeb Wise has a real job, and he's content doing those restorations and doing the home improvement restoration stuff. So both of them have jobs. I think they're quite content doing what they're doing. Moving on with life. All right, that's a wrap on the questions. Thank you very much for joining the show. Sorry we went a little over. Going to go watch High Limit on FS1 and kind of see and know Lauda, I've never gambled on the LPGA. I am the only guy who can mess up Scotty Scheffler's top 10 list or top 10 streak. And I'm not about golf is not my thing, but I'm sure I'll be looking at the lines tonight for the Oilers game. McDavid, I think, is plus 110 to score a goal against the Mammoth. Somebody has to score for them. But again, we'll be back next Tuesday. Stay tuned.